Okay, there you go. I think that's better. We're going to do this in the dark. Hopefully I don't need to take notes. Okay, so we'd like to welcome you to Fabric Chicks Live at Noon with Elinor Peace Bailey. And Muff, the amazing Muff, is doing the videography. So, okay, Elinor, I think you'd do a better explanation on how we met.
Oh, well, I think I would, actually, because you were barely conscious.
True.
Yes, Beth was being born about the same time that my daughter, Maureen, was being born. And the two of them, sometimes they got along and sometimes they didn't. However, Beth has been in my life all of her life. And when she was about 14 or 15, she needed a job for her class in high school. And I needed somebody to help me out, and I had no idea how incredibly able she would be. And she just, from then on, she took over a good part of my professional life, and it couldn't have gone more smoothly. She stuffed patterns to begin with, but after that she started doing the orders and the mailing, and there was just nothing that she couldn't do. And I just really appreciate her enormously, and I'm so proud of this quilt shop that she has. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, it has moved around a little bit. I can remember when it was like in her bedroom.
Yeah,
or no, it was up in the kids' bedroom.
It was in the kids' room, yes. It started in the kids' room.
The kids were pushed to the side, and the bolts of fabric mounted ever higher. And finally, Roger just had a fit and kicked her out.
That's true.
Not her, actually, the fabric. He kicked out the fabric. And I don't know whether he knew what that would cost him.
No, I don't think he did. I think he thought it would just be a little bit of a hobby. He could go rent a building for a little while and I'd get bored and move on to something else.
He didn't realize that Beth doesn't go to hobbies. That is not her thing. What she goes is get bigger and bigger and better and better. And she has. I mean, the store is incredible. Has a lot of trim. Has wool, has silk, has hand-dyed stuff, has the most recent fabrics, and K-Facet, which I consider an absolute essential. So I don't know how you could have a better store than that, or a better resource. So that's how we met. We met when she was very tiny indeed. And she was adorable then, and she's even more adorable now.
Oh, thank you. So you've been in the quilting and doll making industry for pretty much since it kind of evolved in the late 70s, right?
Actually, I went to my first quilt market in 1983, so I was about 3 years short of being in there when that started.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it. I mean, you know, I fell in love immediately. It was awesome.
And what would you say is your favorite part of Quilt Market?
My favorite part of Quilt Market was actually setting up. I mean, I think we were looser and had a good time. And we anticipated all the success we would have. Afterwards, you just have to anticipate the not as much success as you thought you'd have kind of experience. But I also loved coming in and seeing all the people I hadn't seen for a year. So that was always a joy. And for a while, I went to Quilt Market both fall and spring.
Mm-hmm. And I think what people who've never been to Quilt Market can't it's something you can't really describe, is the energy, that the creative energy that just is around every corner. Every time you go into a new booth, there's some new inspiring, somebody's taken something that you know and they've pushed the limits.
That's exactly right. And I also loved it when a new person came, because they would come with a dish. I mean, you'd think that you couldn't get more enthusiastic than some of the people who'd been there for a while. But the new people, you know, they'd set up their booths and it would be all shiny, bright, and gorgeous. It was really neat. You and I never went for a booth that was incredible. We just filled it full of stuff and nobody could tell the difference, you know.
Well, that's true, and my booth still kind of looks like that. My feelings are the more you can stuff into it, the more you can sell.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
This is all true.
Okay, so today you're going to show us a couple of your patterns.
Yes.
All right.
I gotta tell you, before you start with that, I just want to say that one of the most important things for me to discover in Quilt Market was that I could be a walking booth. By costuming, I found it much easier. I was totally recognizable if I was in the women's room.
Right.
You know, other booth people would leave and they would be somebody else. I would always be Elinor Peace Bailey, and that would always be connected with my products. So one of the things that I developed was a great passion for hats. And the only hat that I've ever designed myself and made a pattern for is the pop art beanie. And I'm going to put on this one, which is my favorite one here.
Well, and I think you took it a step further, not even just at Quilt Market. That's absolutely fabulous. But not just at Quilt Market, you were a walking advertisement every day that you left your house, whether you were going to the grocery store or to church, or no matter where you went, you were a walking advertisement.
If I went as myself. And I found that the costuming was me. So I'm wearing today a fairly new garment that I made that's called Connection. It was inspired by Melinda Gates and her book. But I'm not going to go into that because we haven't got time. But I do want to show you that the pop art beanie is very much resembles the hats that the little boys used to make from their father's hats during the Depression. They would take their father's old felt hats and they would fold up the edge and cut it, peak it. So I looked at that and I thought, how much more fun would it be if we could use quilting material? So you've got here, I prepared for you a walkthrough on the pattern. So that's what I want to do. I want to walk through on the pattern and show the different tools that I use. And hopefully that'll make a difference. Now this is one adaptation of this hat, and the other one doesn't have the peaks.
Damn
it just has a flat thing here. And it's a lot of fun.
And that's just using the regular quilting cotton fabrics?
No, this is silk.
Okay.
I picked it up and had it. This is cotton fabric. This one is cotton fabric. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna, and I'm using cotton fabric to show you what I'm doing. Okay.
Okay.
So when you start, you've got this peaked edge that goes around. I should wear the hat that shows that. Yes, I'm changing hats. Okay, so here's the peaked edge.
Okay.
I laid it on a fabric that's folded, and then of course I'll have to put it. I'll have to put the fabric right sides together, and the thing will look a lot like this. I've turned a couple of the peaks.
And do you put batting inside of it?
I do, because otherwise they just go. And I usually use the and you know that's a descriptive term. I use the Fairfield. I use the Fairfield dense needle punch batting, which is felted polyester. That's what I prefer. But right now I've just got a regular batting in, so I've used 2 layers because it's the thin fabric. So you can see here I pinned it down, and then I'm going to put the batting at the back and stitch it up, just the zigzags. Now you're going to have to clip into every one of those corners. And remember, when you're clipping for things like this, you've got to clip right to the thread line. So you want to clip right to the thread line, and then you begin to turn it. Now when I'm turning, I'm using the Turn-It-All, which is a product that Beth carries.
We definitely carry it. It's even one of the few tools I brought on vacation with me.
It is a wonderful, wonderful tool. And I recommend it that everybody have at least 2 sets because you're going to lose part. So I stick the tube. It's made of a series of tubes and dowels. So here's the tube. You stick it into the point of the peak, and then you push the fabric over that and pull out the peak. So you're going to do that all the way around the hat, as this is. You can see each peak.
Mm-hmm.
You can also see that I've decorated each peak. Now, I did this with felt balls. And I got to tell you, I went to Trader Joe's the other day, and they had a little mat for a hot plate thing.
Yes.
It was absolutely chock full of these felt balls, and it was $4.99, so I just grabbed it and took it apart and did it. Of course, you don't get the variety of colors that you get if you get it directly from somebody who sells them. You can see that the trim that I put on this as well. Okay, but back it goes. So after I've done this and I've sewn this together, I've sewn it like, let's see, where did it, oh, you can see the seam.
Christy Lee says she loves the hat. And Penny's watching too.
Well, I know Penny's watching, thank heaven. What could I do without her? So anyway, here's the seam. So now I also, right sides together, put 6 of these triangles. Now I discovered something that I didn't write in the pattern. So if you're following the pattern, leave these things open at the bottom totally. Why? Because if you close them, you've got extra bulk, which is hard to stitch through. So leave them open like this. They'll look like this here, batting. And again, take your tool and insert it into the peak here, and take your dowel and just pull the fabric over the dowel and press the dowel in there. So then you've got...
Muff, can you angle the camera down a little bit? There. Perfect.
Okay, so there's the edge. And the edge you leave open to avoid bulk. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put these 2 things together. Like so. You're going to put them together.
Mm-hmm.
First, you're going to put the cap together. I've seamed it so that I can see the seam on the outside. as a decorative element. Okay, so there's how I put it together, and I put all 6 of these together, and then this goes around it with the raw edge out. And you have what I've got on. Now, Beth, I used Kate Bassett's fabric for part of this piece here. And I just love the way he puts colors together. But
definitely.
His things are so strong that it's good if you have a little graphic next to it so that you can sort of see things.
And when you say graphic, do you mean like a tone-on-tone kind of something?
Well, a tone-on-tone. My favorite is like a check.
Okay.
Or a little plaid, or some kind of polka dots are great. Anything that gives you a little rhythm.
Okay, so the stripes there are what you're referring to.
And finally, I'm going to bind off this with this binding. Now, to put on the top, it's just a piece of fabric, 3 inches, 3-inch binding in this instance. With this one, this hat, I used a wider binding. I don't like it. I prefer.
Wait, move the camera up a little bit so we could see it.
See, the wider binding just kind of takes over the whole thing. I'm not seeing what you're pointing at. So,
lift your camera up a tiny bit. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I want you to see.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. They all know we're not trained videographers. We're just doing the best we can.
Okay, so now I think you can keep the camera.
So really, it's kind of a fun.
This is a project that you can do in a day easily. Maybe 2 of them. So you make one for you and one for your husband, right? No, one for you and one for your buddy.
Oh my goodness. We would look really hot hitting the town.
Absolutely. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is a little trick that I have learned. I learned it actually from Barbara Willis, who learned it from somebody else. So I'm just going to show you the trick. I have here a circle of fabric. It's probably about 5 inches. It might be a 5-inch circle, but I've got a pattern for it.
Okay.
And I can send that to Beth, and she can copy it off, and you guys can all have it in your pop art beanie patterns.
Okay, and we do have the pattern for the pop art beanie.
Okay, so I take this circle of fabric and I gather it around like you do a yo-yo, and I stuff it firmly.
Almost like a pumpkin.
Exactly. You could make anything out of this, but I gather it firmly, and you can see the opening.
Okay. And you don't need to close it so tight so that you don't see the stuffing?
Okay. Because the piece that goes over it, which is this, I keep wanting to show it to you, Beth, which is this, is made with a upholstery ring.
Okay.
If you'll just keep the camera up, I'll direct myself. Upholstery ring like this.
Yep.
Okay, I lay that
and an upholstery
into the next circle.
Where did you get the upholstery ring?
Oh gosh, you can get them anywhere. You know, any one of those horrible stores.
Okay.
that sell decorating things.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't want to mention the name.
Okay.
I'm loyal.
Okay, perfect.
I'm super loyal. So, anyway, I gather around that, and then I put some stuffing in it, and then I lay this on top, and I stitch it just inside the ring. Okay?
Okay.
I put beads in that stitching. These are eighths.
Okay.
And this fits over this.
Oh, very clever.
Okay? And you stitch it in place.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to top it off, you take another little circle and put it on like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the whole glob on top of the hat.
So
Anyway,
if you weren't going to put that on top of a hat, what else could you use it to embellish?
I think you could use it for a jar topper, for the topper of a pin cushion. You could use it for a doll hat. You could use it for any decorative, thing on both sides of a quilt.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this has got enormous use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this little pattern is really fun, and it's got the directions, and it's got the different circles, and all you need is this upholstery ring.
Perfect.
Which you can get at the bad place.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can get it there.
Okay. and
yes,
it would even be fun to embellish a bunch of those and put them in a bowl or something.
absolutely. In fact, it could make, if you added another layer
Yes.
down here, a little Christmas tree.
Oh, super fun. That might be a
So-
fun project to do on a Zoom, girls.
Yes, it would be. So, I also wanted to tell you something about having trim. Well, that's one of the things that I think Beth was influenced by my taste and what I used. And also what I needed, because she was representing, for a long time, she was representing me, and I was still out there. But one of the things that she has that I just love is a variety of trims. And I know that she may have this, may not, I don't know, but I collect trims, and I love these rickrack ones. They were made a few years ago, but my gosh, they're useful for everything.
We still have a bunch of those. We bought whatever color they have.
Any multi-colored trim is wonderful, and this is my favorite. I got to tell you, Beth, this one I got at the bad place, and it was.
That one is fabulous. I have not seen that one, or we would have it at the shop.
I am not surprised that you would have it at the shop, because it is spectacular. It was $10 a yard.
Yeah.
But it was worth every penny, because I just loved it.
For sure.
So, what I wanted you to know is that trim is something that you use more readily if you have a collection of it. You're not likely to use trim if you just buy it per project.
Very true.
And not only that, but trim comes and goes. Some things you get for 1 year. Some things you get for 1 year, and then it's gone.
Right.
So I recommend that's one thing to collect. Another thing to collect is choose your colors that you just really love. And when you see something that you love, have it. I mean, I just believe in having it in my collection.
Well, and part of the problem is when you go to work on a project, if you don't have anything in your stash, it's hard to incorporate it. It's hard to...
Very hard. Very hard. And not only that, Beth, but when I look at my stash, that's my language.
Right.
I think that way. So I trained myself to think in a myriad of colors. And then I just, as I said, I love what I consider to be, really great graphics.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a check or a plaid. This is a diamond-shaped thing. Black and whites, you can over-dye them, and that's a lot of fun. What can you do with Rit dye? You can do an awful lot more than you think. And so there's that. So I recommend that you enjoy your stash. It'll be soon enough when you'll have to start getting rid of it. I know that I have recycled some things. I've had to get rid of some things, and I've got a suitcase full of dolls I'm going to have to get rid of soon. So that's going to be a moment in time. I love this business, and I love the women who love it. So I hope that you have a thankful Thanksgiving. Obviously, we're not going to have a traditional Thanksgiving, but maybe we can all just be extra thankful for the blessings we have, because there's so many people who have nothing. And their nothing has been taken away from them even. So I express my love for you, and God bless you, and have a wonderful...
Okay, wait a second. Before you can close this, I have to read comments to you. I know, it gets better. Okay, Rochelle's on. She says, gorgeous, just like you. And Rochelle, you have known for years. I can remember...
I got to tell Rochelle something.
Okay, Rochelle.
Years ago, I bought some Pittsburgh Steeler fabric from her.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so my son-in-law, Joe, has cancer, and this is very tragic, but I made the dog pattern from the Enraged Woman on the black and white dog righting wrongs.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it out of the Pittsburgh Steeler fabric. And I put on the tongue, Pittsburgh Healers. And sent it off to Evelyn and Joe. So I just wanted her to know I surely have used that fabric and really was delighted to have it in my stash.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling people. You can't use it if it's not in your stash.
Right on.
And okay, wait, let me go back. I just love Elinor and think of her often. I'm so glad you did this. Penny says, ask her if she uses screwdrivers to stuff. So Penny's husband devised he took a screwdriver and then he drilled a hole in it so that when she stuffs, it stuffs in flatter than with a stuffing fork.
Yeah, there have been an enormous number of adaptations of different tools to use to stuff, and many, many people have developed their own individual ones. In fact, I have something like a collection of stuffing tools. But I found that my two favorite are Willis's stuffing fork and then not pliers. What are those things? Surgical clamps. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They take the lock off of them, and they really work great. So I use everything from the big ones to the small ones to get into places. I really love them.
Okay, wait. I just lost the comments. Gracie's getting them back for me. Sometimes you need a kid to keep you on.
Sometimes you always need a kid.
Yeah, she's trying to get her swimsuit on here. She's not distracting me at all. Trying to get her. She's half dressed trying to go to the beach. Hemostats.
Yes. There's the word.
Exactly. You know what? People don't realize how hard it is to do lives because you're trying to say the right words, but sometimes it's you need a word bank for that.
Oh, listen, I need 2 or 3 people.
Yes, yes.
To fill in the blanks, and they all have to be around 25.
Right, right. Mary says, thank you. You are a beautiful person, Elinor. Connie says, you're awesome, Elinor. I just love Elinor and think of her often. Okay. Christy says, you must have given me the lesson about collecting trim because I'm always lecturing them on having enough in their stash. A snowman, ornaments. Oh, that stuffed would be a cute snowman with the rain.
Indeed it would.
Yes. Okay. So many hellos. And then somewhere, Quilt Market is like Disneyland. Yes, but for quilters.
Oh, you know what? I think it's a whole lot better than Disneyland.
Me too, actually. Yeah, I've got the. I'm trying to go through the. Okay, bye. Okay, let's see. Hi, Elinor. Do you remember me from the old days at Going to Pieces in Pleasanton? What fun we had. Rondi Reeves.
I remember that store.
Yes.
I remember Nancy and what was the name of the other gal who owned it? The 2 of them.
Gosh, I can't even remember.
Oh my gosh, that was way back when. And then somebody else bought it, and then it was great. It was a great transfer.
Yeah, okay, girls, this is your chance to ask Elinor any questions that you have. Okay, let's see. Gracie's got, sometimes when well, I think partly because we're in the boonies, right on the beach, where we don't get the comments. Christina was the name of the gal who owned New Pieces, or Going to Pieces.
Of course, thank you.
Lynn says, I belong to a national organization called United Federation of Doll Clubs, and a few years ago they had a competition category at the annual convention for Elinor's dolls. I was surprised, and there were lots of entries. Lynn Jenkins, I would not have taken you for a doll person. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. Connie,
Well, the UFDC has done a lot with doll collecting. I'll tell you what. I have some wonderful memories of going to shows there and bothering them with actual handmade dolls. They sometimes they didn't know quite how to deal with that.
Oh, Penny's gonna make a doll of you.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Tell her I don't want any pustules.
Okay, you hear that, Penny? All right, girls. We will bring Elinor back on again. If you have anything that you would love to learn from Elinor, let us know. All right, Elinor. Now you can do your closing words.
My closing words. Well, my closing words. I already gave my closing words.
Yep.
I'm closed.
You did.
But I do wish the Lord's choicest blessings on all of you during this season of difficulty. So God keep you.
Perfect. And thank you for joining us. We had a great time, and we will see you soon.
Okie dokie.
Okay, thank